Good morning, ma'am.
Morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
ma'am.
Good morning. Okay, so I was doing economic botany, unit 4. Okay, I think Anand sir also took a class in between while I was joining. So like we will be brushing up a little of this unit 4 and then like parts of unit 5 which you will have for your examinations. So please follow the class, and if you have any problem, please ask me, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I just share my screen. So is it visible? Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Uh, can everyone see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, is there anyone else who will also join, or like the class strength is 22, around 22 today? Neha, or like class in charge, can you tell me? Like if it's like 23, I can see there are around 22 people. So shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone yet
Yes,
to join?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Fine. So not a problem since I'll upload the PPT and whatever I'll teach. So in case you have any problem or anybody joins late or misses a part, then you can of course catch up with that. Okay. So in economic botany, unit 1, 2, 3 has been done by sir already, Anand sir. So you will have questions from that part. In my part, like unit 4, I will complete unit 4 today. And we look parts of unit 5 where we will do natural rubber. We'll study about timber plants as well as fiber yielding plants. Okay. So like just know the basics, the uses, or maybe the names, the scientific names. And as and when I will be teaching all of you, then definitely I will be mentioning what all are important so that you can remember those parts, okay, for your exam as well as like for understanding. Okay, so I will just quickly go through the slides. So, like just a recap. So we was doing essential oils first. So, uh, so I'm just going through the slides as one by one. You can just look into whatever we've done. Okay. So we had studied about characters of essential oils. What are the important features of essential oils? So remember, at least if asked like, can you say like there are 5 important features of essential oils? So you should be able to recall that. So anyone who can tell me like any two uses or any two characteristics of essential oils? Anyone? Roll number 5. I will take some time to get used to the names, so please pardon me. So roll number 5. Can you tell me what are the characteristics of essential oils? Any 3 characteristics? Don't tell me about aroma, and it's because it's common. So don't tell me about aroma and then the common ones. But then certain things which it's already on the screen, I guess. So volatility, don't tell me about volatility because it's common. So what else about essential oils do you know or do you remember from the class? Any 3 characters? Roll number 5. Are you there? Okay. Roll number 6. Where are you all? Roll number 9. Please respond. You can say anything that you remember.
Ma'am, roll number 9 is not there.
Okay, then 10 or 10, roll number 10. Okay, let me see from the list who all are there. Okay, roll number 3 is there. Roll number 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Please tell me 3 characters of essential oils, dear. Whichever, whatever you remember.
Ma'am.
See, what you understand from the name, essential oil, right? So,
Yes, ma'am.
what has oil got to do? You apply it on the skin, so it has some characters. You try to remember it in that way. Otherwise, you will never be able to don't memorize things. Okay, just try to relate to the term, the name of the thing, and then try to recall. Okay, what are the characters of the essential oil? Okay, so tell me three. I'm not asking for 12 characters. I'm asking you for 3 characters. So please say whatever you remember.
Ma'am, essential oils exist in
Yes.
plants
Yes.
to help them resistance against diseases and insect invention.
Very good. Very good. Very, very good. Right.
Mm,
Okay, you've told me one. So I want roll number 11 to tell me like tell me another character of essential oils. Roll number 11.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, tell me a character of essential oils, whatever you can remember.
Essential. Some of the essential oils are like used in hospital to kill bacteria, fungus, and all.
Right, right, right. Yes. So this is a very clever answer, and thank you for that. So because students, suppose you don't remember the uses of certain things or characters, so definitely since you are going around places, so always remember that from natural life also, from your experience also, you can write your answers. It is not always necessary that you have to write something in the whatever in the bookish language. So this is also right. She has seen that there are some applications of the essential oils being used to repel mosquitoes or insects in various places at home or hospitals. So because it has a very strong smell, right? And insects cannot tolerate that smell. So they go away when the smell is around. So this is also a use. So very good for the answer. Thank you for the answer. Okay,
Thank
roll
you, ma'am.
number 12.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can you add another feature of essential oil?
Yes, ma'am. They are less dense than water, and they are density fragrance. They have. They are aromatic in
You
nature.
Yes, yes, yes. They are aromatic in nature. And what were you saying before that? Your voice is cracking a bit. Can you repeat?
They were less dense than water. Denser than
They're
water,
denser,
ma'am. They are
yes,
lesser
denser than
denser
water.
than
Yes,
water.
yes, as like they're dense actually. So yeah, so they are. Do you and with this, do you remember that they are kept in dark containers because they are sensitive to light? This is something I had mentioned in class. Do you remember that? Rule number 12. Yes. Yes, so this is how you should remember, okay? Something which you have seen around you, plus, whatever has been taught to you. So you can remember easily in this way. When you're linking the two things, then you remember things better, okay? So fine. So we should get back to our class now. So I'm not going into all of this because we have covered all of this. As questions, you could be asked that, you know, uh, give 2 uses of this oil, or lavender oil, or what orange lemon oil, citrus oil, clove oil. So when I will be sharing the video, I think someone will be getting the video, so please share it with me after the class so that I can share it with the rest of the class. Okay. All right. So I'm not going into all of this because we have covered this. And then we have also spoken about the extraction methods, isn't it? So distillation is the most important method. So anyone, can you tell me what do you remember about the distillation process? So roll number 13. Roll number 13 is there? Yes. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, dear. Tell me, what do you remember about distillation? Because distillation is a process that we have done it in our chemistry classes also, right? So from your combined knowledge, please share something that you remember about distillation. Can you tell me? Do you remember?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
tell.
Ma'am, distillation process, it is the process, ma'am, that separates components and substances.
Right, right. That is the basic mechanism. But can you tell me something about the procedure, how it is, how it takes place, how it is done? How do you separate? Suppose you take a plant, okay, and then from that, how will you proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Just remember the diagram I had showed you. So, so what can you retain in your head? Like whatever you remember, you can share it with us. So, suppose you're given flowers. So, what is the next step you think for distillation?
Ma'am, observe.
No, like for extraction of the essential oil, you have to take the oil out of the plant, right? So what should you do so that,
Oh, oh, yes,
yeah,
yes,
what
yes.
should you do so that it is extracted? Remember it in this way. Tell me anything that comes to your mind. Just,
Ma'am, first, we should grind that plant.
yes, first we should grind the plant. Yes, yes, we should form a paste or we should dry the plant. Very good. Then
Yes, ma'am.
after that. After that, what should be the
Um,
next step? Now you have actually pasted the plant or you have given pressure to the plant so that the plant is pasted, because in whole form, it cannot be extracted. So very good. The first step is done. What is the next step?
Ma'am, then it is submerged in water.
Yes, it is submerged in water, or like in solvent
Then,
extraction, there is a difference where you
yes,
use
ma'am.
a solvent, right? Like methanol,
Yes, ma'am.
ethanol. And in this case, in simple distillation, we are using water. Okay. Okay, then,
By
or
boiling,
we can
by
also use
boiling.
in case of steam distillation, right? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
What next?
Then,
Okay.
uh,
Then, are you heating the thing? How will you
yes,
extract?
ma'am. Boiling.
Yes, you're heating, right?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes. After that, so when you heat something which is water, what happens? After a certain boiling point, the water will evaporate, is it not?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So with evaporation, what since you're giving the plant material, so something from the plant will also get into the water, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So what we are extracting is actually here the purity is you get a lot of compounds here. So because we cannot decide at this point that only this oil will be extracted. So that has to be done later on when we are doing purification. So in this step, in a simple distillation step, like suppose you don't remember the specifications of the steps, at least you can go in this way and write something in the exam, okay? So
Yes, ma'am.
after it gets evaporated, then what happens? So essential oil is there, so water gets evaporated. So in the form of vapor, it is collected, right? It is collected in the tube. Now what next? What comes next? Okay, you rest. Let
Mm,
me go
yes,
to
ma'am.
roll number 17. Roll number 17?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, did you follow the steps which he shared with us? Yes, for distillation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, once the evaporation thing is done, what comes after that?
Ma'am, storing of ma'am essential ma'am.
storing, but before storing, like it was in vapor form. So can you collect something in vapor form? No.
No,
Can
ma'am.
you store something in vapor form? No. Then what
No,
is the
ma'am.
next step?
Ma'am, ma'am, let it cool, ma'am, and convert it into liquid, ma'am.
Exactly. Very good. Very good. Yes. So you can collect things in two forms, either in solid form or in liquid form, because in gaseous form, it is very difficult for you to capture or store a thing, right? So it has to be converted to liquid form. So this entire distillation unit is actually a closed unit, right? So that so that we can capture the maximum amount of essential oil from the plant, because we already know that a particular amount of plant will give very little essential oil, right? So therefore, the more you can capture and store the essential oil, the more it is better. Otherwise, you will waste a lot of plant material, right? So very good. So we are collecting it in liquid form, and then we are purifying it, and finally we are storing the essential oils. Okay, thank you. Roll number 17. What is your name, dear?
Ma'am, Rishabh Smith.
Okay, Rishan. So I'll take some time to get used to the names, so forgive me for that. Okay, fine then. So distillation process is the most important here. So we have also done steam distillation. Only the difference is you're using steam here. So, so you know the process. It's similar to that of the proper distillation. Remember, the temperature is around 100 degrees Celsius and pressure at 1 bar. Okay. Then water distillation we've done. So this setup, you remember this diagram, then you will have no problem in answering any of the questions, right? So see, it's very simple. This is the normal setup of distillation unit. So everything is closed here. Okay, so that the water vapor doesn't evaporate and everything is done in a controlled way. Okay, so rasping process is another process that we studied, where we use the peels of citrus fruits, right? They are pressed, and the oil glands which are there in the peel, they are actually used for the extraction of the oil. Okay, so solvent extraction is another method where instead of water, we are using solvents. Okay, so solvents, some of the common solvents as examples are ethanol, methanol, and hexane. So remember the examples here. Okay, so for the solvent extraction step, it's more or less same. You have to press the plant, then you are recovering the essential oil from the after you're dissolving it in the solvent. As simple as that. So after that, you have the maceration method. Maceration means pressing or disrupting the cell wall so that you can take out the essential oil. So maceration means that. So here also we have studied, there is a series of steps. Please go through this after I upload so that it's easier for you to understand. Then there is enfleurage method. This is not very important, but then yes, this is also another way of method of extraction. Okay. Right. So now we studied about the pneumatic method. So what did I tell about the pneumatic method? So what do you mean by the term pneumatic? Roll number 16. Yes. Roll number 16. Are you there, dear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So tell me, were you in the previous class about when I was discussing about pneumatic methods?
No, ma'am. I was not present.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay. Roll number 14. Roll number 14.
Here's a matching video.
Roll number 14.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Tell me about your like I was talking about the pneumatic methods. Okay. So can you tell me what do you mean by pneumatic? I discussed that in the previous class.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I wasn't there in the last class.
Okay. Anyone who was there, roll number 8?
Sorry, ma'am, I was absent.
Okay, so many of you were absent. Okay, fine. Roll number 29. Roll number 33 was there, no? 33?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So do you remember what are pneumatic methods? What does the term pneumatic mean?
Ma'am, the
Mhm.
ma'am, volatile oil which is passed through the melting fats is in which volatile is dissolved and absorbed.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So pneumatic method is pneumatic term. It refers to something air-like, right? So we use air in this method. So there's a current of warm air. You missed the warm air part because that's the main part as per the name suggests. So definitely melted fat is something that we are using here. Between the fat layers, we are pressing the plant and we are passing this warm air. So warm air current is an essential part of pneumatic methods. So thank you, roll number 33. Okay, so pneumatic method is done. And we also spoke about the differences between essential oils and fatty oils. This is very important. Please go through this. Okay, right. So I will be stressing on the ones which are important from the exam point of view. So please keep in mind while I'm stressing on certain topics. So now we move on to groundnut. We were actually starting this in the previous class when we had to stop. So now there are these are some of the as per your syllabus. As let me just show it to you once more. Just see, we have general description, classification, extraction, uses and health implications of groundnut, coconut, linseed, and brassica. Okay, so that is what we are going to cover. In that, coconut will be important and brassica will be very important. Okay, so but groundnut, you might have short questions from these. So like groundnut is basically, if you look at its systematic position, groundnut has the binomial name Arachis hypogea. Okay, so groundnut belongs to the Fabaceae family. So it's important for you to remember Fabaceae family. So anyone who can tell me, because you have done taxonomy already, can you tell me any two characters of the Fabaceae family that you can recall? Okay, roll number 29. Don't get scared if I'm calling through roll numbers. Don't get scared because like whatever you can recall, you can share. If you don't remember, it's totally fine. You can go and revise and see. So please tell me whatever you remember. Roll number 29. Can you remember anything about Fabaceae family? Look at the diagram. I'm giving you the hint. Look at the plant. Yes. Can you remember something about what are the Fabaceae family is also leguminaceae. It is also called by the name leguminaceae. So maybe you have done it in the name of leguminaceae. Can you remember anything that is characteristics of leguminaceae plants?
Correct. No, ma'am, I don't remember.
Okay, so you forgotten. Okay. So anyone who remembers something about Fabaceae family?
Ma'am, leaf shows reticulate venation.
It
They are herbaceous plant. Ma'am, leaf shows reticulate venation.
reticulate venation. Okay. What else?
Seed dicot seeds are present.
Okay, right. Then look at the figure. Do you see the flower is little different, no? Than most flowers? Is it not? The estivation is different.
They are easily recognized by their flower, stem, shoot.
Yes, yes, they are described by their flower. But look at the fruit, no? See,
And bisexual flower.
sorry, I cannot hear you. Can you
And
repeat it,
bisexual
dear?
flower. And presence of both
Yes, but
male and
okay, bye.
female.
Okay, okay. And what else? See, the thing is, yeah, there are certain characters which are of the family, but then something to pinpoint is, yes, there are many characters which are common to the all species of the family, but species-wise also you will see there are some differences. So yes, the points are very true. But what I wanted to stress is, Suppose you don't remember the characters of the family, then what do? Look at the figure or remember the figure. So ground nut. So there's nut in it. You will see, we will study coconut. It has got nut in it. So its fruit is, it is a nut, basically. Okay. So this is a very important character. So it is very easy to remember, right? So it's in the name only. So its fruit type is, it's kind of nut, which you will find. Okay. So that's what I wanted you all to say, because that's the very first thing. If you look at the figure, you see, okay, it's groundnut, it's in the name. So it has to be, the fruit type is nut. Okay. Very good. Thank you for your interaction. You are really very responsive. Thank you, class. So the thing is, about groundnut is it belongs to family Fabaceae, and it is its scientific name is Arachis hypergea. Besides this, you need to know that it is also known by certain names at certain regions of the world. So it is known by groundnut in India. It is also known as goober in US. Okay. Don't make it gober, it's goober. Okay. So there is pindar in US. It's known by the name pindar. Then there is monkey nut. Okay. Which is it is called monkey nut in UK, like Britain and all. So it is known by different names at different places, but it is very, very common. Okay. So now Arachis, these are mostly found in the tropics and the subtropics. So otherwise, if you are asked about the morphological features, you have to remember that don't get into too much of descriptive things, but then it is known as like Fabaceae, which is also known as Leguminosae, as I said, is commonly the peanut belongs to the botanical family Fabaceae, which is also Leguminosae, and it is commonly known as bean or pea family. Okay, so this is something you need to remember. Something which has to do legumes. Okay, so Leguminosae, from Leguminosae, it comes from the term legumes. So when you think about legumes, what is the very first thing that comes to your mind? Anyone who can recall that? What has legumes got to do with something, a very characteristic biological function, which we have studied, all of us have studied at some point? Can you remember that? I'm talking about nitrogen fixation. So legumes are a very potential example of nitrogen fixation, is it not? So do you remember nitrogen fixation? Yes, right. So it is an example of symbiotic association which leads to nitrogen fixation, is it not? So do you remember that we used to study in nitrogen fixation, like examples of nitrogen fixers are these leguminous plants, right? We have all studied right away from our like school biology classes, is it not? So these are the things which you are general and you should be remembering them. Okay. So this is the characteristics of the plant, and what do? Is they have symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria in their root nodules. So basically, they are for nitrogen fixation, they are providing nutrition. So this capacity to fix nitrogen means peanuts require less nitrogen containing fertilizers. So this is a very important thing. So you do not need to add too much of fertilizer for the plant to grow. The plant is itself capable of fixing its own nitrogen from the soil or the environment. Okay. So this is a very characteristics of Leguminosae plants. So in general, and also for groundnut, of course. So remember this as a point. Okay. So otherwise, what is very important is peanuts are similar in taste to most nuts. Basically, what is a nut? Nut is a fruit whose ovary wall becomes hard at maturity. Right? You must have eaten groundnuts. You must have consumed nut in any form, and you must have seen that the outer layer of the fruit is really hard and tough, right? So this is another characteristics of nuts. Okay, so remember it in this way so that it's easier for you to remember. So now if you come to the botanical features of the plant, the peanut flower, so these are all characters never mind, don't, there's no need to go into the details and remember everything line by line. What are the main features? Make a note of the main features in your own notebook and then remember only those. This you can read for your knowledge, but it is not always necessary that you have to by heart or learn everything line by line. Don't do that. So because if you do something like that, in the long run you will anyway forget. Maybe for exam purpose you're remembering, but just after the exam, if I ask you, suppose it's the taxonomy part which I was asking you, so you forgot no about Fabrici. So because but you had studied, you even given exam. So what's the point if you have forgotten? So remember those things which you can retain in the long run. Okay. So peanut is an annual herbaceous plant. Remember that it is an annual herb-like plant. Herb means there's a difference between herbs, shrubs, and trees, that is in terms of their height or their stature of the plant. So these are kind of short-heighted plants. So remember that. Okay. Otherwise, so I've already mentioned that they belong to the Fabaceae family, of course. So otherwise, you remember about they are the nitrogen fixers. So that's another point. So it becomes 3 points here. Then you have to remember that the leaves here are opposite and pinnately compound. Okay, just see the leaves. Okay, so look at the diagram. It's very clear. So it's like pinnately compound, as you can see from the stem. Again, the compound leaves are getting differentiated into two leaves, right? At each node. So leaves are opposite and they're exactly opposite, as you can see, right? They're exactly opposite. So they have opposite and pinnately compound leaves. Okay. Right. So this is all okay for your knowledge. I will be providing you like the length and this thing of the characteristics of the leaves, but okay, there's no need to get into the details of that. The flowers are yellowish orange with reddish veining. So the veins are reddish. Look at the picture. It has very characteristics yellow color flower. So if you are looking at such plants, the moment you look at the flowers, you can identify that yes, it's a leguminous plant. So I was pointing at the fruit and the flower. These are very characteristic of leguminous plants. So they are the identifying characters. So the moment if you're given an unknown plant and if you're asked to identify, these two characters should be enough to identify whether the plant is leguminous or not, right? So flower color is again a very important feature here. Okay, so they are born in axillary clusters, and otherwise the ovary is located at the base of what appears to be the flower stem, but is actually a highly elongated floral cup. So these are morphological characters of groundnut. So remember these. So if asked about can you write any 3 characters of this plant, you should be able to write it. Okay. Fine. So the peanut seeds is again peanut. So how many of you have peanut butter? Because peanut butter is also nowadays very much consumed by most people. So peanut butter is considered very good for health also. So as you can see, the parts of the peanut, look at the diagram. You can see it's the peanut. So you must have seen these. So it has shell, it has cotyledons, it has seed coat, it has radicle as well as plumule. Radicle is root-like structure, plumule is the growing shoot-like structure. Okay. So you must be knowing these are basic things. So these are parts of the peanut seeds which you should be knowing. Okay, now we come to the uses. Definitely, it has a very high nutritive content because of which we have, it is advised to have nuts daily in our, diet. So it is advised not too much in quantity because the fat content is also high. So it is not advisable for people who have high cholesterol or, they are obese or high fat. But then definitely in general, it is advised to consume nuts daily in lesser quantities. So it has a very high nutritive content. You need not know the details of them, though I have provided them here. So the use wise, definitely they have use as food. like peanut butter, peanut flour, peanut proteins. Whole peanuts are like they're eaten just like that. So they're eaten in that way. So it is used for animal feed, for animal food purpose also they are used. Then it is used for industrial purpose. Industrial in what sense? Because groundnut is being used for producing, say, groundnut oil. Then there are companies which they sell roasted groundnuts. So in that way, mainly for food and cooking purposes, they are used. So, but there are some, concerns because some people are allergic to groundnuts. So, there are certain problems they face when they eat groundnut. So, therefore, it is not good for everybody. So, you should uh, see to it that you are not harming yourself in the process when you're consuming groundnut just because it's good, because it might not be good for you. So you have to see if you are facing any health issues regarding when you are consuming groundnut, then you should stop eating. So this is one thing. Another thing is it might have contamination of aflatoxins. So groundnut is very much related to these aflatoxins because they are at times infected by fungus. Okay, so you have to see whether the groundnuts are fresh when you are buying it. So it should not have a rusty layer or a cover over it, whitish or blackish. Then you will understand that it is being infected. So avoid buying such, groundnuts. So this is mainly due to Aspergillus flavus, which is a fungal, agent, which causes this kind of aflatoxin, you know, uh, toxification of the groundnuts. So you should avoid having that. Okay. Now we come to the manufacturing process. So we have covered the basics of the uses as well as the morphological features of groundnut. Now next we have the extraction. Okay, so is it clear so far, everyone? Are you following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Pace, no? Should I slow down or is it okay for you to follow?
It's okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So now when we are talking about the extraction process, so in the extraction process here, they mostly prefer in the industrial scale. See, distillation is a simple process, but distillation is not always efficient because distillation, besides your essential oil, you will have a lot of other compounds also absorbed. So therefore, we do not need a mixture. We need in a pure form. So this is more possible if there is solvent extraction process or mechanical followed by a mechanical pressing. So groundnut, so if you remember this, even if you don't remember the flow chart, if you remember that, see, there's a solvent extraction process, and from that you have refined oil. Okay, so there are different steps when groundnut oil or any oil is produced at the industrial scale. There, the main objective is to to extract it in a pure form. The more pure they can do it, the more will be the price, the more will be the demand in the market because people are looking for pure things, right? So this to get this purity, there are a lot of steps. So this purification steps and in the industry, a lot of equipments are used. Huge machines are used for this because they are not doing it. Distillation unit is usually small. It is okay for home purpose, but it cannot serve the purpose for industrial production. Okay, because industrial production is large scale. So in large scale production, you cannot use small units. You have to use a huge setup, and it has to be a lot of energy consumption, and there are a lot of things which has to be involved in that. So in groundnut oil manufacturing process, we are talking about the industrial manufacturing process. So here, the mechanical pressure is the first thing. So the basic things will remain the same, just that the setup is huge and a lot of investment has to be done. And it has, so because we have to produce, liters and tons of oil. Okay, so in industry, so you cannot just depend on one unit. You have to make it huge. So, and the remaining oil after mechanical pressing, it can extract around 85% oil. Okay, so it is an effective procedure. After that, after you are doing mechanical pressing, there is a 5-step thing which is happening. See, I've highlighted the 5 steps. If you remember these 5 steps, it's very good. So the step 1 is cleaning. So you need to clean the thing before you are extracting, because there will be impurities, there will be other things which are mixed to it. So cleaning is very important. So cleaning, they can be dirt because you are collecting it from the plants. So there can be dust, there can be, you know, pollutants which are attached on the plant. So a cleaning process has to be done for any, this is true for any extraction process, okay? Not only for groundnut oil. So there has to be a cleaning process, then there's a dehulling process. So what is dehulling? We'll come to that. Then there's a cooking process. So this dehulling and decooking is almost like dehusking. That is, you are taking out the outer coat of the nut, because the nut has a very hard coat, as we have discussed. So you need to take it out, and you need to take out the, you know, seed part, so that you can actually press it and perform. Okay. So then there is cooking, then there is pressing, then there is finally the filtration process will take place. Okay, so that much was this is okay for your, you know, groundnut extraction method. So you don't, because I told you that coconut extraction is something we will stress on, but then this is the general idea about groundnut oil extraction. I think this should be enough for you. Now, when we come to coconut, so everybody is aware of coconut. So it's very common in South India. We have seen that people in South India, they even cook food in coconut oil. They use coconut oil for hair. They use coconut for lots of their household activities. They consider it like religiously also very sacred. So coconut is very universally used throughout. It's throughout the world. It's very. It has a lot of use. So the reason being that it is highly nutritious. It has many health benefits. Specifically, you know, heart, you know, cardiac health improves. If you have coconut water, or you know, you consume coconut in any form, then it promotes blood sugar control. So your blood sugar is in control if you have coconut water every day. So that is also it's very suggested for people, for parents, or you know, for elders who face such diabetic conditions. Okay, so it contains powerful antioxidants as well. This is one of the reasons why people say that to develop your immunity, you must drink coconut water every day. Well, of course, it is not available in every place of the world, but then if it is available, then definitely you should drink coconut water. Okay, so if you talk about, if we come to the scientific classification, so here also look at the diagram. It's again a nut. So you can see the outer coating in coconuts. It's so hard. Like if you you know, hit someone, the person might faint also. So it is really hard. Don't do that. Okay, but then that's just to tell you that it's really hard. Okay, and you have seen you have seen in sacred occasions people do break nuts, right? In temples also people break nuts before any you know, before any good you know, opening or something like that. So it is also considered very, very religiously sacred. So regarding the scientific classification, it belongs to Ericaceae family, and Ericaceae family, and its genus is Cocos, and the specific epithet is Nucifera. So it is Cocos nucifera is its scientific name. So please remember the scientific name of coconut. So like here, as you can see, that's a lot of nutritive value. It has magnesium, it has phosphorus. There's no need for you to remember the exact, you know, quantity of these, but then the basic things that it has, it's got good amount of carbohydrates. It's got a mixture of protein. It has got fiber content. It has a little more fat, but definitely it has some other nutrients as well. It's manganese, copper. So micronutrients are also there. It's rich in micronutrients. So It's got iron as well, potassium. So these are, so you can see it's so valuable as a plant. It is so valuable. So you have, so that is why it is being promoted to be consumed by everybody. Okay. Do you have a class after this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, fine. So now, regarding, so these are some of the, morphological characters. So as you can see that it's clearly labeled. So there's a husk coir. A coir is at times used in different purposes, like in cooking also they at times burn the coir in some of the, village areas or some of the tribal zones. They still use coir for cooking purposes. Then there is a hard shell. There is coconut finally in between, and then there is at the center the coconut water. So if you dissect the fruit of this plant, you will see that these are the features. So whether it's like the matured fruits are ovoids, because the fruits are actually the main part of the plant that we depend on. Therefore, you need not remember the other parts of the plant in like the morphological characters, but the fruit part is something you need to really remember because it's important. So there are three parts essentially which you find in fruits mostly. So it is very well defined in case of coconut, because here you have a well defined exocarp, which is the outer layer. You have the mesocarp, which is the middle layer of the fruit. Then you have the endocarp, which is the surrounding region of the seed. And of course, there is the uh, you know uh, in between there is this coconut water, which is basically the endosperm. Okay. So now the mature fruits are ovoid and ellipsoid in shape. This you can remember it easily because everybody knows how a coconut looks like. So this is nothing that you need to, memorize. Then they have a thick fibrous husk surrounded, which is familiar. It has a single seeded nut, which everybody knows, and the hard shell encloses the insignificant embryo, which is actually the endosperm region. Okay, so endosperm region has both. It's called the meat as well as the liquid. So we consume both. So it's in nariyal we have both, right? So we eat the meat part also, that is the whitish semi-solid part, which is also called the meat of the coconut, and the liquid part. Okay, so liquid part is very commonly consumed by us as coconut water, right? So coconut fruits float readily, and this is something we all know, that there regarding the seed dispersal, from seed dispersal point of view, you will see that coconut plants are mostly found, in the coastal belts surrounding to water, where there is water, because the reason being that they are mainly the dispersal of the seeds or fruits, so to say, is actually takes place using water in case of coconuts. So the ocean currents are actually responsible for this. So therefore, this is another important thing which you need to remember. Regarding the extraction, it is more or less the same as I was discussing in case of groundnut. So it has a crushing process, a cleaning process first of all, then a crushing process. It's done from the copra or the coir of the, which is the outer layer of the coconut. Okay, so starting from that, they do crushing, then pressing, then there is finally an acidification process. Don't get into the details of it, you won't be requiring so much. But then there is once the first of all when they press it, they form a cake kind of a thing, a pressed cake kind of a thing. And then after that there is filtration, and finally after series of filtration and purification, you get the finished oil. So this is the general flow of extraction of coconut oil. I think we are it's time, but I'll just let me see. I'll take some time. Okay. So we have class tomorrow, right? Mm, yeah, students, we have class tomorrow, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what we do is, let me just tell you. Okay, so what we will do is we will complete linseed and brassica tomorrow, and I will touch parts of sorry, I will touch parts of natural rubber. I'll be doing this timber plants, timber yielding plants, as well as fiber yielding plants, parts of that. And for now, this will be the part which will be included in your examination. So rest like beverages, tea, coffee, and drug yielding plants and tobacco. These are the three things which will be left to be done later. Okay. So for now, in the rest of our classes, we will be covering these few of the things, and then we will keep on revising so that you have no problem when you're writing your exams. Okay. So is it clear, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So are you enjoying economic botany, like this part? Yes? No? You find it
Yes,
boring?
ma'am.
Is
No,
it
ma'am.
okay?
Interesting.
Okay, finding it interesting. Okay, good to know that. Okay, just a second. I'll just take the attendance. Let's just save it. Uh, it's done. Right. So, thank you, class. I will, the one who is receiving the recording now, please share it with me so that you can mail me and share it with me so that I can share it with the rest of the class. And then you can go through these, the recording. And if you have any problem, you can ask me in the next class. Okay. Is it fine?
Yes,
Good.
Okay,
ma'am.
ma'am.
You're a very good class because you're interacting. So thank you for being wonderful. Okay. So kindly dismiss, and we'll see you in the next class. Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you. Have a nice day, all of you.
Same to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Hmm.